Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going better than fantastic and your journey to self-betterment is going even better. Because the journey to self-betterment is never ending. Lots of self-discovery, self-understanding, and also forgiving oneself. Because even though we were on the end of being the target of a narcissist, we might have looked at our lives and found things toxic about ourselves. If you grew up with a narcissist as a parent or parents, toxic traits they have can in most instances find their way into our behavior. And we might look back and say, why did I do that? Or, oh no, I bet this behavior I had turned some normal people off from me. And as a result all I had surrounding me were narcissists. Not healthy, normal, loving people. We've all been there with our thoughts and feelings, and we've all been there several times with our thoughts and feelings. And we'll likely be there again. But it's what we do with these thoughts, feelings, and information. How do we handle it? How do we find a way to turn these things into positives? And I say that because it seems once we find out all of these things we want to fix and do better for ourselves. It seems the life arena has either shrunk or gone away. Meaning the world on how people meet and how people make friends and even find a romantic partner. In the part 1 of this series, how and why narcissists ruined the family unit, I talked about how the way people used to meet. Now the way that people used to vet one another has seemed to be systematically taken away from the greater society. Now though these modes and ways of meeting were and are important. However, what is more important is who made these changes and why did they make these changes. You have to think deeply on this. It seems most were locked into the modes of meeting instead of the who and the why. And I don't say that as a negative. But I say that as a reminder on how a people by and large are trained to think. Surface level. Instead of digging deep for the root causes. Let me share with you a thought to illustrate what I mean. The reason why we look so crazy when trying to explain the intricate workings of the narcissists we were involved with, is there is a lot of connecting dots and how one story weaves into another. Kind of like those paintings within a painting. You have to have a very careful eye to see this painting inside of the painting. Otherwise you will just see what the masses see. The regular painting that is visible to most everyone. But unable to see the painting within that only a small few can see. Don't just look at things surface level. Learn to peel back the layers of the onion of narcissism and narcissistic abuse. You see, narcissists are all about pushing forward and getting more power and more supply. And they don't have an off switch. They can fake like they have an off switch but they really don't. And what narcissists like to strive for is for you to have a relationship with them in their arena, where they have a less likelihood of loss. And they can get away with their mistreatment to you and others. They like how the mass media shows surface level relationships such as in many of the dating shows. You have 20 people on a show for a month doing meaningless challenges and obstacle courses to hopefully be picked by the star of the show for marriage. You know nothing about this person. You haven't been through real life with this person to know if their intentions are for real. You've just participated in some meaningless challenges and that is what is going to determine who you are going to marry and start a family with. And these shows have gotten more popular by the year. But what message do shows like this push to the masses? It pushes the narcissist harem. Meaning how this grand narcissist has several targets. And they put them through all kinds of narcissist do tests. To see which one will be the best source of narcissistic supply. and the one that completes all of these tests to the narcissist's satisfaction. They are the unlucky one that gets to share their life and start a family with this narcissist. But all of this is becoming normal. It's very, very weird. But it's becoming normal and becoming celebrated. You see, in my last video, I talked about how many years ago, like 50, 60 and even 70 years ago, couples oftentimes met at work. And a few people mentioned they felt that meeting at work wasn't a good thing. That they prefer to meet people in other places. But that wasn't my point of bringing this up about what places are best to meet someone. My purpose of bringing this up was for all of you to think about what happened in between now and then. In my last video I addressed why people don't meet at work anymore. And that was because of fear of loss of job and being accused of doing something they might not have done. But where did all of this start from? You see, 70 years ago was much different than it is today in the dating world. You didn't date 20 people here and there. A great many people back then, if you ask them if they are still living, will say they met their husband or wife because their families knew each other. Or they went to school together when they were quite young. Or they had their first job together. I gave an example of such a couple working at the same pizza place together. I personally met people that worked in the same factories together. But this was 50 to 70 years ago. Back then you didn't date several people at work where all of your dirty laundry and gossip gets passed around. No. You start dating someone you worked with. You likely got married soon after. And in many cases, one person quit that job to stay at home and raise the family while the other person continued to work at that job. Because back then you could support a family on a single income. Dating at work was normal and didn't have the negative energy and feelings towards it that it has today. But what happened in between now and then? Divorces, not only for being mistreated, were popularized. But even if the other spouse was loving and kind, divorcing to so-called find yourself was greatly popularized as well. Which led to a different dynamic in the dating scene. Instead of meeting one person and getting married and that's it, there ended up being crazy and strange love triangles at work. Then the next step was school. Again, in years past, there were a great amount of people that said they married their high school sweetheart. And how today that is very uncommon. Because again, what is the message that is being pushed on how relationships are supposed to go to the masses? And then you have people just like in the workplace, fearful to attempt a relationship in school, such as in college. People see it as it's just too toxic, they don't even want to try because there is so much to lose. And those that do try in a risking environment where it appears the rules of the narcissist applies. It's your word versus theirs. And they have little chance of loss. While you fulfill your role as being their narcissistic supply. You see, narcissists are apex predators. And though you have a great white shark in the ocean that can take down some mighty prey, it oftentimes will lure sea lion pups into an area where these great white sharks can easily pick them off. Why? Because they want to make sure there is little loss or threat to themselves, yet getting maximum gain. They don't go out hunting by nature the biggest and baddest prey, because they know something could go wrong. And either they will get hurt or take a loss. And they might not get the food they are after. Narcissists are not only masters of manipulating people, but they are masters at manipulating situations and entire industries. Again, what do you think a narcissist would do if they went from working in a grocery store to being someone that makes the television shows that you watch? That's right. They will likely put in messages that possibly manipulate how a great many people see their own lives and the relationships they enter into. I've talked about before how I've seen a great many videos here on YouTube where there are people crying their eyes out on how they were sold a lie and broke up with the love of their life, just to pursue running around and dating 20 different people, like they watched on many reality shows. Or to party hard and meet up with random strangers like they've always watched on other reality shows. And at the end of it all, a great many feel like they were sold a lie. Because they are alone, not happy, and possibly mentally damaged from the experience. You see, the narcissists know how to brainwash people. They know how to get you to create your own life misery by selling you a dream that doesn't exist. So to circle back around, though I would admit in today's environment, dating at work isn't something you should do if you want to keep your job. However, one should ask themselves, how did we get from a point where meeting your husband or wife at work was completely normal and expected in many cases? But now the people that are thinking logically are scared to death of the idea of dating at work. While a great amount of people are treating their relationships like it's a reality television show. Could it be narcissistic programming? I'm just asking. Think back to your narcissist parent or parents. Didn't they for the most part try to sabotage nearly every area of your life? I know mine did. And my mother would do it in ways to trick me to think she was finally on my side. And she this time truly cared about me. Then she would lead me down a creek without a paddle, so to speak. Just to watch me try to figure my way out of the mess she manipulated me into. Well, with that in mind, I ask, who has set this pace on how relationships in our society are supposed to go? Are they healthy, loving people? Or are they toxic narcissists or worse? Hey, I'm just asking. One show I was referencing in the last video was MTV Catfish. And I will tell you what. If you want to look into the eyes of some narcissists, just do a search and watch some of these clips. But before I go on to talk about that, the point of my last video was and is that it seems that all of these normal and healthy ways to meet one another, and to develop a friendship, or romantic relationship, start a family, so forth and so on, those modes of meeting one another, they seem like they are all being stripped away. And they are being replaced with modes of meeting that ironically seem to be on the narcissist's home turf. Internet online dating. I mentioned Sam Vaknin's warning on dealing with online dating. I'm not sure what video it was where he mentioned this. It was some time ago when I viewed it. However, I think he's mentioned it a few times. Though I could be wrong. However, I do remember him in a video with a title that might be How the Crazy People in the Insane Asylum Are Running the Asylum. And he was referencing how that's pretty much what is going on in society. And when you take a look at even just one aspect such as dating, isn't it strange that we are now made to be completely afraid to meet in normal healthy ways? And are now being pushed and groomed to meet in a way where the narcissist will have the most control. Which brings me to the show Catfish. Again, if you want to look into what appears to be some dead evil eyes, you will see a lot of that in this television show. This is basically where the show's host hunt down people that are talking to someone else via online dating or another online source that feels they might be or are being catfished. And in a few cases, everything appears to be above board. Either one person was really shy or whatever. But in most of these cases, they are being catfished. And the people that are toying with people looking for love is amazing. Amazing in a bad and sad way. They with the deadest of eyes and a narcissistic grin on their face say, it was all a game. They act like they don't care and never cared. And one theme that I noticed is they wanted someone to pay for something that happened to them years ago. But the person they are making pay for this has literally nothing to do with the pain they experienced years ago. And that is something I want to talk about more. Narcissists want to make you pay. To pay for them being a narcissist. They know they aren't normal. And they likely know what made them that way. And here you come along. Full of love and being forthcoming. And they know they have no ability to be that way. Because of some abuse they suffered a great many years before at the hands of someone else. But here's the thing. If one step was taken to, let's say, look at family law, Again, a great many have made documentaries on the corruption that can be found in many areas in family law. Yet the people as a society don't stand up and say, "That's not a system I want for my son or daughter. We need to do better." But what if people did do that? Right now most people that have their head on straight are afraid of marriage simply because of the damage it can do to their life. Now think about that for a moment. Something that should be celebrated is feared even more to some people than jumping out of an airplane or diving with sharks. But who made it that way? Who made it that way? And also, why was it made that way? And if that were to be looked at and fixed, you would start to see an opening up of people. People able to meet normally. And you would have more healthy people pushing a healthy narrative. Think about the Garden of Eden, where there was this false promise made only if the fruit were to be eaten, when in reality it was a complete and utter lie. Well, it seems like the narratives that are being pushed on society are the same type of lies and tactics and manipulation that was used in the Garden of Eden. And because these lies were believed, we have nothing but a broken society where most people are afraid of each other. Think about it. Marriages are down because people are afraid of what bad things will happen to them if they do get married. But no one seems to be asking, how did we get here? Who got us here? And why? Narcissists like us to think all of these things are our own doing, while they slip out the back door undetected after their manipulation is complete. I think it's time we start asking these tough questions. Because when you see these shows like Catfish, you start to see the normalization of weird. Utterly the new weird way people are now meeting. That usually produces a bad experience for the one that wants to love someone and to be loved by someone. And narcissistic supply for the narcissist on the other end of the so-called relationship. Well, that's all I have for now. I'm curious as to your thoughts. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And if you would like to support even further, you will find my Patreon link below. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.